Hello guys, I hope and pray that you are fine wherever you are. I welcome you again to this platform, and I kindly request that before you watch this video, kindly subscribe to this platform. That done, welcome and thank you. Now, on 16th August, the morning of 16th August was a normal morning in South Africa. The husbands and fathers of Marikana woke up and bid their families goodbye, with the expectation that they could come back and share pleasantries of the day with their families. Little did they know that that was their last day of leaving home and never coming back. For those who are well acquainted with history, and for those who are well acquainted with the history of South Africa, you will understand that on 16th August 2012, the Marikana Massacre occurred. On this day, the South African Police Service opened fire on unarmed protesting mine workers attached to the London mine, and the result was the death of 34 mine workers and serious injuries to 78 mine workers, with the arrest of at least 250 miners. The events of this day had been planned. The South African Police Service, in collaboration with the government of South Africa and the executives at London Mine, had planned to massacre these innocent mine workers on 16th August 2012. Why do I say so? According to details of the report that was submitted to the South African Parliament by the then President Jacob Zuma, it detailed that senior government officials, senior police service officials, and senior executives at London Mine had planned to end the strike that had been ongoing for around 6 weeks. The South African Police Service spokesman, Dennis Adriao, told a journalist on the morning of 16th August that today is unfortunately the D-Day. It is an illegal gathering. We have tried to negotiate and will try again, but if that fails, we'll obviously have to go to a technical phase. Two other journalists, the South African Police Service spokesman said, and I quote, we have tried over a number of days to negotiate with the leaders and with the gathering here at the mine. Our objective is to get the people to surrender their weapons and to disperse peacefully. Today is D-Day in terms of if they don't comply, then we will have to act. We will have to take steps. That was the South African Police Service spokesman talking on the Marikana strike. On the same issue, at around 9:30 a.m. on 16th August 2012, Mbombo held a press conference in which she announced the police firm intention that, I quote, today we are ending this matter. The plan is that we intend to ensure that today we end this strike. If they resist, like I said, today is a day that we intend to end the violence. And true to the words of the South African Police Service spokespersons, on 16th August 2012, when a crowd of London mine workers converged to march to the offices of the executives, around 400 South African Police Service members opened fire on these innocent civilians, and they killed 34 mine workers and left 78 seriously injured. Some may ask, what did the South African government do after this massacre? what did the South African government do after this massacre? The Commission of Inquiry was formed. The Marikana Commission of Inquiry was formed to investigate the massacre of miners at Marikana. The commission's first sitting was on 1st October 2012. Its final sitting was on 14th November 2014, and its report was submitted to the South African Parliament by President Zuma on 31st March 2015. Critical to this report and critical to this inquiry, the report absolved the key political figures who are accused of having a hand in the events leading to the massacre, including the Deputy State President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is currently the President of South Africa, who at the time of the massacre was a non-executive director at London Mine, former Police Minister Nathi Mpethwa, a former Mineral Resource Minister Susan Shabangu, and the National Police Commissioner Ria Piega. The report also found that London Mine had failed to engage with workers and the trade unions operating in that sector. South Africa, in my view, failed to deliver justice to these London Mine workers' victims. I watched a given speech by the South African opposition leader, that is EFF leader, Julius Malema. And Julius Malema was questioning the South African government's inability to prosecute the individuals behind the Marikana massacre. Julius Malema insisted that Marikana widows are still crying for justice. Marikana children are growing up without fathers, and yet the South African government, in collaboration with the London mine executives, partnered to kill innocent civilians in Marikana. Civilians who were innocently agitating for their rights. Civilians who were within the constitutional provisions to be demand for increased salaries. Since the London Mine massacre, justice, in my view, has never been delivered. And I tend to extract some takeaways from this Marikana massacre and how the South African Parliament, the South African government, handled this matter. First, I want to say that in Africa, the way we handle our issues makes foreigners to respect or disrespect us. I believe that foreign governments and these foreign presidents disrespect African presidents and Africans as a whole. Why? Because we Africans, we don't love our own race. We Africans, we don't uphold the African dignity and worth. We Africans, we are easily swayed by money and some very little profits. The people of South Africa, the government of the time when the Marikana massacre occurred, were, let me say, lured by the cheap profits, the little money that the foreign governments, the foreigners controlled the London mine, offered to them. They sought to betray their fellow Africans. They sought to betray the Marikana widows by accepting cheap bribes from the executives at London Mine. This is why I do believe that these foreign governments, these foreigners, disrespect Africans. They disrespect Africa. Why? Because Africans themselves do not respect. They don't have respect and regard for one another. Africans are ready to betray their brothers and sisters for foreign money. Africans are ready to kill their brothers and sisters for foreign money. I do believe that the members of the South African Police Service who killed the Marikana fathers were Africans, and they were people, the natives from South Africa. They killed their own brothers and sisters for foreign money. They killed their brothers and sisters for and covered up all these happenings in exchange for some cheap profits, cheap bribes from these foreign governments. And this is why you will find that these foreign governments lack respect for Africa and Africans. I want to suggest and I want to critically say that we Africans, we have been belittled for a very long time, and we are being belittled, we are being disrespected in our own land. We are being disrespected within our own borders. These foreigners know that we Africans, we can betray and kill our own brothers and sisters for money. As even little money, we are capable of killing our brothers and sisters. We Africans, we are capable of killing, betraying, and covering up the death of our fellow brothers and sisters because of foreign money. I want to propose and I want to critically say that these foreign governments, like the ones who were involved in the Marikana Massacre, must pay for every African blood that they spill. Africans must be ready. Africans must be ready to actively suggest that these foreign governments, these foreign individuals must pay for every African blood that they spill. We need respect. Africans need respect, because in this world we are only different based on our skin color, but the guiding principle is that we are all humans. If the guiding principle, the common denominator is that we are all humans, then every member of this global space deserves respect. Every human must be given and treated with the required worth and dignity. As Africans, it is very common for these foreign governments, these foreign individuals, to come to Africa and kill us in our own land, because they know that even if they kill us, justice will never be served. Even if they kill Africans within their own borders, simple bribes will settle the matter. On this platform, I discussed the issue of the British soldiers who killed and raped women in Kenya. Since then, no British soldier has been arraigned or arrested. Why? Because they know very well that in Africa it is normal to kill an African, to rape an African, to unjustly, confront an African, knowing very well that justice will never be served. And if justice is being served, then the wheels of justice will benefit them, will be on their side. Africans have the power to bring back respect. Africans have the opportunity and the ability to demand respect from these foreign individuals, from these foreign governments. Africa is our land. This is our continent, and anybody who comes to Africa must first respect the owners of the land, the natives. We are the natives in Africa, and if foreigners come to Africa, then they must respect us. They cannot come to Africa and dictate the terms. They cannot come to Africa and chase us away from our lands. They cannot come to Africa and tell us what to do. They cannot come to Africa and directly engage in the organization of our politics, economics, and social issues. These foreign governments must not come to Africa and tell us that we must abide by their rules and regulations. We are Africans, and Africa is our land. If these individuals come to Africa, they must be within our rules. They must play within our rules. The case of South Africa demands, let me say, active and sensitive activism. The people of South Africa demand respect, total respect. South Africans are humans, like the Europeans, like those other individuals from the West and any other part of the world, which is not Africa. When they go to South Africa, and if they need to live in peace, then they must respect South Africans. In my view, I would urge the current president, that is of South Africa, that is Cyril Ramaphosa, who was actively involved in the Marikana Massacre, to deliver justice to the widows of Marikana. Cyril Ramaphosa must redeem himself. Redeeming himself requires that he delivers justice to these widows. When I was reading the history of the Marikana Massacre, I noted that most of these victims of this massacre were shot in the back. Some of them were shot to a tune of 7 times on their heads. And yet, the government officials who are involved, implicated in this matter, were absolved. That is what happens in many other parts of Africa. And these individuals from these foreign governments, from these foreign countries, are used to this because they know in Africa, an African will easily betray another African for money. An African president will betray the whole nation for money. An African president will betray the electorate for fame and maybe some foreign opportunities. This is not what we need in Africa. I believe in global citizenship, and I believe in global interaction. I believe in the ideology that we are all brothers and sisters. The only difference is the skin of our colors, the colors of our skin. The guiding principle is that we are all humans. If we are all humans, I believe that Europeans have the freedom to come to Africa. And we also have the freedom to go to Europe and America and any other part of the world. We have the freedom to freely participate in what is happening in America and what is happening in Europe and other parts of the world. And these individuals also have the freedom to participate in what happens in Africa. But I have a suggestion. When these European governments, when these Europeans, and when these foreign individuals come to Africa, they must abide by the rules and regulations in Africa. And as when we go to these other parts of the world, we always abide by the rules and regulations of those people. We always align with their political dictates, we align with their social dictates, and we align with their economic dictates. But when these people come to Africa, they tend and they want to tell us what to do. They want to tell us, they want to impose their political ideologies on us forcefully. They want to impose economic ideologies on us forcefully. They want to impose their social ideologies on us forcefully, such that when we resist as Africans, they kill us. When we refuse to do what they demand, they kill us. What happened in South Africa during the Marikana Massacre on 16th August 2012 must never repeat itself. The government of South Africa must be ready to protect Africans, South Africans, and Africans as a whole. All other African governments must be ready to protect Africa and Africans from the violations of these foreign governments. African governments and African presidents must insist to these foreign governments that when they come on our land, they must do as we wish. When they come to Africa, they must comply fully with our rules and regulations. They must adopt and comply fully with our political ideologies, and they must comply fully with our social and economic ideologies. If not, then they should never come to Africa. And if that is done, if respect guides the interactions of all people across the world, then I believe there will be no chaos. But if disrespect is the guiding principle among humans, then war will never cease. I argued on this platform that the cause of all wars in the world today is disrespect. The disrespect that the United States shows Russia, the disrespect that Israel shows the people of Palestine, the disrespect that the United Kingdom shows Russia is the cause of the current wars in the world. The disrespect that the United States shows China, North Korea, and other parts, Iran, and other parts of the world is the cause of all wars in the world. I do believe that if respect is allowed to dictate the engagements, the communications between countries, between nation states, then I believe there will be no wars in the world. But if disrespect continues to define the engagements between governments and the engagements between individual nation states, then wars in the world will never cease.